So we're here at the root of a tree, and we're going to try and get to the root of the problem with our society. And I believe it is ego. The ego, no, your ego is not your amigo. So your ego does not really know best. Your ego is not really your friend. And in fact, the ego is the enemy within. Because the ego always thinks it knows best. The ego thinks it's always right. The ego thinks, it's better than everybody else. And that's a dangerous thing, isn't it? So if you think about most wars and problems we have in the past and today, still going on, isn't it? It's often a clash of the egos. Usually the male ego, it has to be said. But, it's something that's, obviously present within everybody. So, somebody said once, Charles, can't remember his name here, Kettering, Charles Kettering. Can't read my own writing, it's that bad. He said, education is man going forward from cocksure ignorance to thoughtful uncertainty. And where there is an open mind, there will always be a frontier. So, keeping an open mind is so, so important. And the only way we can do that is to let go of some ego, isn't it? Because if you always think you know best and you always think you're right, then you can't possibly have an open mind. So, that's the truth of the matter, really, isn't it? That's the root of the problem. I believe. Not that I know everything. I've got a very open mind. So yeah, one of the actors that I really admire is Anthony Hopkins, and it was him that kind of inspired me to talk about this, because he's someone who's incredibly successful in his career, his chosen path, and yet he doesn't seem to really have much of an ego at all, and he's very humble, and he says, that the ego is the enemy, and I think he's definitely right. He's a very, very wise man. And someone else to make it even, Helen Mirren, I think, is a fantastic actress as well, and when you see her in interviews, she's also very, very down to earth, very humble, and doesn't seem to be as much of a show off about anything she's done, even though they're both clearly at the height of their profession and very talented actors and actresses. So that's quite inspiring. I think that it shows there are people who have, made it, become very successful, and yet they still aren't ruled by their egos, So it is possible to, to be both, to be humble and successful at the same time. So that's what we need to aim for. And yeah, believe it's possible. It is possible. Anything is possible as long as we keep our minds open. So let the ego go a bit. Although we do need a little bit. As John Lennon said, I think, that, you realise when you completely dissolve your ego that sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself to do anything then, because the ego is often behind a lot of things we do. So it's about balance again, and sometimes a little bit of ego may be necessary to give you a bit of confidence and motivation. Okay.